It was a warm spring afternoon in a small, quiet town, the kind of day when the air smelled of blooming flowers and the sky stretched wide and blue. 10-year-old Max was on his way home from school, his backpack slung over one shoulder and a sandwich wrapped in foil tucked under his arm. Max wasn't in a hurry to get home. He liked to take his time, stopping to kick pebbles or climb the occasional tree. But today, something caught his eye as he passed the park near his house. Sitting on a bench under a large oak tree was a man. He looked older, though it was hard to tell exactly how old, with a scruffy beard and clothes that had seen better days. His belongings, a frayed backpack and a rolled-up blanket, lay at his feet. Max had seen homeless people before, but there was something about this man that made him pause. Maybe it was the way he stared off into the distance, his hands resting in his lap, as though the world had forgotten him. Max hesitated for a moment, then made a decision. He walked over to the man, his small sneakers crunching against the gravel path. "Hi," Max said, his voice quiet but steady. The man looked up, startled at first, then softened when he saw the boy. "Hi there," he replied, his voice deep but kind. Max held out the sandwich, still wrapped in its foil. "I have an extra one. You can have it if you want." The man's eyes widened, and for a moment he didn't speak. Then he smiled, a smile so genuine it made Max feel warm inside. "Thank you, kid," the man said, taking the sandwich carefully as if it were something precious. "What's your name?" "Max," the boy answered. "What's yours?" "Daniel," the man replied. "Nice to meet you, Max." Max sat down on the bench beside Daniel, his curiosity getting the better of him. "Why are you sitting here all by yourself?" he asked. Daniel chuckled softly. "Well, I guess you could say I've been on a long journey. Life hasn't been too kind lately." Max nodded, not fully understanding, but sensing the weight behind Daniel's words. As Daniel unwrapped the sandwich and took a bite, Max noticed something beside the bench, a sketch pad peeking out from Daniel's bag. "Do you draw?" Max asked, pointing to it. Daniel nodded. "I do. It's something I've loved since I was your age." "Can I see?" Max asked, his eyes lighting up. Daniel hesitated for a moment, then pulled the sketch pad from his bag. He flipped it open, revealing page after page of incredible drawings, landscapes, portraits, animals, all sketched with an artist's precision and heart. Max's mouth dropped open. "Whoa, these are amazing!" Daniel smiled shyly. "Thanks, kid. I used to be a painter back when things were better, but life had other plans and I lost my way." Max spent the next hour sitting with Daniel, flipping through the sketch pad and listening to his stories about the places he'd been and the people he'd met. When it was time to go, Max waved goodbye, promising to visit again soon. True to his word, Max began stopping by the park every afternoon. Sometimes he brought sandwiches, other times he just sat and talked with Daniel. Over time, they became unlikely friends, an innocent boy and a man who had seen the harsher side of life. One day, when Max arrived at the park, Daniel had a surprise for him. "I've been working on something," Daniel said, pulling a large piece of cardboard from behind the bench. Max's eyes widened as he saw the painting. It was him, sitting on the bench, his backpack by his side, with the park's oak tree towering behind him. The colors were rich and vibrant, and the detail was breathtaking. "You painted this?" Max asked, his voice full of wonder. Daniel nodded. "I wanted to thank you. You've been a light in my life, kid. You reminded me what it feels like to be seen, to be cared for." Max didn't know what to say. He stared at the painting, then at Daniel, his heart full. "It's the best gift I've ever gotten," he finally said. As the weeks went on, word of Daniel's talent spread through the town. Max's parents, moved by their son's stories, decided to help Daniel by showing his work to a local art gallery. Before long, Daniel's paintings were on display, and people marveled at his talent. His life began to change. Commissions came in, and he was able to find a small apartment of his own. But Daniel never forgot Max, the boy who had shared his sandwich and his kindness without expecting anything in return. Years later, Max, now a young man, visited an art museum in the city. There, in the center of the gallery, hung a familiar painting, the boy on the bench under the oak tree. The plaque beneath it read, "For Max, who reminded me that even small acts of kindness can change a life. Thank you for seeing me when no one else did." Max smiled, tears welling in his eyes. He knew that no matter where life took him, he'd always carry Daniel's lesson in his heart. That kindness, no matter how small, could create something truly beautiful.